Al McFarlane. Welcome to the conversation with Al McFarlane. Today is Friday, June 9th, 2023. A beautiful day, so beautiful that I chose to office outside today at my home in North Minneapolis, sitting on my back porch, my back deck, and enjoying the sound of birds, of the traffic on the street, distant and near sounds. Don't be surprised if you hear an ambulance or a fire engine or a police car driving by. It's part of the neighborhood I live in, and it all goes up to make a community that's real. Well, let me begin by thanking our friends over and acknowledging our working with our friends over at the Minnesota Department of Health, who want you to know that COVID-19 vaccines are free. And that's because we want you to stay safe. So enjoy this show, be safe, and be well. As always, I open with an invitation asking you to support this conversation, this program, by going to our YouTube Insight News MN channel and becoming a subscriber. Well, as you know, we are streaming this across a variety of platforms. I'll just review quickly. We're on the Insight News YouTube channel, our own channel, but we also are on the YouTube channel of Black Press USA, the Black Press of America, a wonderful organization. Insight News is a member active in it, and through them we connect with 200 other Black newspapers across the country and now from across the world. We also stream this program on Black Press USA's Facebook page, on Insight News' Facebook page, on Insight's Facebook page, and on Al McFarlane Facebook. Finally, we use Twitter and we use LinkedIn to connect with people. So no matter where you are, we want you to connect and be a subscriber and to help us grow our subscription base. Well, what else? Well, today's Friday. Friday, it's the Healing Circle. And let me bring in my friend and colleague, Dr. Bravada Garrett-Akinsanya. And it's going to be the two of us today. We're going to do something that's kind of experimental. But let's begin by saying hello, Dr. B. Good afternoon. Welcome. Hello again.
Hello to you and to our viewing audience out there in cyberspace or wherever you are. I'm excited because this is a beautiful Friday. Mm-hmm. Even though we understand that some of the smog is coming down from Canada, it's still breathable. So we're trying to get as much good air as we can before it descends on us, or at least pray for the wind to change. So I'm glad to be here today, and I'm looking forward to having a wonderful weekend with my family and friends like you, Brother Al. So as we continue the show, I'm excited that we still get to hold a healing circle.
Yes.
And it's such a time right now for the healing circle. So if you don't mind, do you want me to go ahead and discuss the protocol?
Yeah, I think so. And what's important to me is that we do this protocol every week because we're teaching ourselves and teaching our community how we be together in a way that's orderly and that's complete and that's respectful. And so we're training the world in this conversation.
That's correct. So first of all, we gather in circle. So although we're not in the same space, in the same room, we envision the circle being completed between us and even those of you who are in the listening audience. And in that circle, the reason we gather that way is because in a circle, there is no beginning or end. And there is no one who doesn't have equal access to the center of the circle, which is the space of power. So we share power in the circle. We share it with spirit. We share it with voice. And in that circle, we honor our elders. We begin by acknowledging the elders whose shoulders we stand on. And I say Ashe. We begin by honoring our elders because they're closest to our ancestors. And again, I say Ashe. And as we talk about our ancestors, we remember the sacrifices and the dreams realized that we are today. And to our ancestors, we say Ashe. And we honor our ancestors because they're closest to our Creator. Now, the circle is very, very orderly. So as we engage in the circle, we use a virtual talking stick, and it goes from one person to the next. And that's how we get a chance to have that conversation and share the power of voice in our circle. So at this point, I will pass the talking stick back to our leader, Brother Al. Here you go, Brother Al.
Yeah, thank you, and I'll take it back. This is great. Well, today we wanted to, given that there's so much happening in the world and so heavy, it always is. Sometimes you have to, in the spirit of self-care, take time to divert, distract, refocus, reshift, and I kind of want to do that with today's program between us, and I think it'll be fun. And our producer, Yasmin Hayes, has come up with the idea of having us talk about us a little bit in ways that we haven't before, or we talk about us from time to time. So she's put together a series of questions that, as I understand it, and this is in the spirit of improvisation, either we both will answer or we will ask each other. And I'm looking at the first question now in the post. I'm going to presume that I'm supposed to answer. The question is, what was the earliest memory of the world around you? And what did that mean for you? First of all, let me say it's a great question because it's a question I ask variations of it all the time to all of my guests. I seldom get it asked of me. And so I'm pleased that it's the first question she's put forward today. And my response is twofold, even though you're asking for the first. My first is a memory of what they told me, what my mom told me about being born. I was born in Kansas City, Kansas. We lived in Kansas City, Missouri. And at least for their feelings, the hospitals available to us in Kansas City, Missouri were substandard. And they chose to drive across the state line into Kansas City, Kansas to the Kansas University Medical Center, which was a more august and professional establishment that provided, they perceived, better care. So my first memory, again, is not my actual memory, but it's a memory of my beginning from the voice of my mother, who told me that when she arrived at the hospital, a person I went to school with and who's been a co-host with me here, Brenda Lyle, her mom was in the delivery room, mother in labor or about to go into labor, my mother in labor. They wheeled, and this is not Brenda Lyle, but Brenda Lyle's friend, Brenda Isom. Take that back. Brenda Isom was in labor. Her mom's in labor. They wheeled her out of the operating room, the delivery room, and wheeled me in. And she said, when you were born, you came out with your hands stretched up, reaching for the sky, reaching for the world. That's how I interpret it. So my memory is that born reaching. And I've read somewhere about the meaning of my name, and one of the meanings was born ready to do battle. So that's my first memory, is arriving with a sense of assignment, a sense of mission, a sense of purpose, and an intent, ready to do battle. So, Sister Bravada, I'm passing the talking to you with the same question.
I take it and I receive it. Thank you. I love that question. And I think about my earliest memories. Actually, I don't know why I remember this, but I remember my mom had 5 boys before she had me. And so she was so excited to have a girl that she was going to name me Bravo, because she was just so excited. And she taught school. So she said, those kids are going to give my baby a clapping complex. So I'm going to find this harder name, Bravado. And bravado means bold, daring, and courageous. And she said she thought it fit me for coming into a house full of boys. So, so she feminized it, and that's how I got the name Bravada. And I don't know if you know, there's a cart that was called the Oldsmobile Bravada. So my claim to fame is to have my name on the butt of a vehicle. But I remember how excited my brothers and my family was mostly by memory of them telling me. But I do recall getting new clothes and getting little socks put on my feet. And I don't know why I remember that, because I think I was barely walking. And soon after I was born, my mom had my little sister Lisa. She was about a year and a few months after me, and she was my best running buddy. And she's kind of light skinned, and her eyes are a little lighter. So my mom said I used to try to pick in her eyes, poke them like they weren't real, like she was one of the dollies. And so I still laugh at the fact that I have a little sister, and she's about 5'7". I'm 5'1". And so she looks down at me, but she looks up to me. So that's my first memory of us. She's always gets pink, and I always got blue. And I told my mom, blue is for boys. I don't want to wear blue anymore. So she switched it up, and I wanted pink. I wanted blue again. It was just hilarious. So I do remember that. And I remember it was just so much love. That's what I remember. Just surrounded by love.
Okay. So another question, Yasmin. So the question is, who is your favorite music artist? I'll answer that. My favorites, I can't name one, but I would name Sun Ra, the jazz musician, and I would name John Coltrane, the jazz saxophonist. But there are many, but they would be the top among them. One of my favorite musicians, however, is my brother, Wayne McFarlane. Wayne, I was number 2 of 12. And Wayne is like number 4, I think. My older sister, me, my brother Raymond, my brother Wayne, and then the rest followed. But Wayne, I remember us going to church in Kansas, maybe somewhere in Kansas City or some small town. And I may have told this story here before, but Wayne was maybe a year old or 2 at the most. So as a little kid, feet couldn't reach the floor. He was sitting on the folding chairs in the church. We were in a Pentecostal church, as we were raised in. And at this particular night at the service, I remember, the sermon was just moving. Everybody was out of their seats, standing up, shouting, praising God, followed on the floor. That's why they called us holy rollers, right? They were
That's right.
doing the holy roll, right? And so after, it seemed like forever, the energy started to calm down, and the pastor tried to also guide the body of this energy back down to a new present, right? Having experienced this euphoric. I mean, the room changed, the sound changed, the light changed, everything changed. I'm 5 years old. Wayne is 3, or maybe I'm 6 at the time. But I'm observing how marvelous this change happened in the room, in the space. And so as the preacher asked people to calm down, and people relaxed and slowed down, all of a sudden, you heard this one tiny voice, and it was Wayne sitting on the edge of his chair. And for the entire time, he'd been doing this: shake, rattle, and roll. Shake, rattle, and roll. So he was into it too. But that's when he identified and was identified as a musician. That's when the spirit of music found its home in his life. And he is a musician today, and he is a master musician. And I've seen him play with people like, what's Tracy's name? Tracy Chapman, and some of the great jazz artists who come through here. But also, I've seen him mostly as a band leader, and I've seen him bring people and orchestrate their presence, their being together, in ways that none of them could have imagined before he was able to use his gift to open up the window to another dimension. That's what I love about jazz, and that's why Wayne's my favorite musician. And he keeps me in the mind of John Coltrane, in the mind of Sun Ra. I'm going to pass the talking stick to you, Dr. B.
Oh, I accept, but that you're right. Your brother is something else. He really is. He's pretty awesome, and I see why you can claim him. I do. And I was thinking of my favorite musicians, and One of them is Aretha Franklin, and it's because when I was young, everybody was singing RESEPT, telling what it means to me. So she was my favorite, and I probably couldn't even read. I don't even remember if I could read, but I was sure able to pop to her and listen to her singing. And as I grew into maturity, I realized the depth of her songs and her music and the many lessons she was teaching as a Black woman in the space, holding true to herself and where she came from. She never gave up her gospel part, but she definitely integrated the soulful R&B that she brought forward. The sister was just all of that. And one of my last tapes of her was hearing her sing, I forgot the name, Noche Dulcium or some opera, and she was kicking butt with that. So she was my favorite. And as you were thinking about your brother, I remember I grew up in a very musical household as well. And in my house, everybody played an instrument. My oldest brother played the trumpet. My next oldest brother played the bass. The other brother under him, he played saxophone and piano and everything. And then the one after him, he played the drums. So about every Friday or Saturday, and this was before integration, the boys from the school would all come to our house, which was pretty large on the corner, and they would have jazz sessions. And I remember them playing a song Watermelon Man.
Wow.
And I remember all of that. And one of the boys, his name was John Gentry. I had a crush on him, so I never missed the in-house concerts. And I remember the excitement of bringing them Kool-Aid as they took a break, but just that music around and singing and my mom was the choir director at church, so she had us singing in harmony. And one of my favorite memories of her before she died was we had gathered in Lubbock, Texas, which is where I'm from, to have a Thanksgiving or Christmas with her. And my brother Douglas, who sings beautifully, he sang off key on purpose. And my mother hit him. She said, "Boy," and she's supposed to have dementia, but she didn't have it then. She said, "Quit singing off tune. I'm gonna whoop you." And all of us just fell out. But I love music because it is God's language when we listen. It really is. So I thank you for that one.
Well, I'll take your talk. So let me sit on that a minute too. I love music. I want to spend more time with that. I want to do two things right now. One is I'm loving what we're doing. This conversation is a great one, and I think that it's important that we tell stories. And I wanted you and I to talk about why storytelling is important, what it means to the individual, and what it means to the family, to the culture, what it means to the world when we bear witness, when we have the opportunity to recognize that what we feel and what we know, what we experience is genuine, and that our lives are worthy, worthwhile, and our experiences deserve to be examined and documented with an eye towards how do we continually improve what we are to each other and to ourselves and to posterity as well. So I think this storytelling is a great thing, and I'm glad that we're taking time today to tell our personal stories, because in every story you tell, you provide an analysis of existence. You go to the core of what it means to be alive, to be a human being in everything. And that's the beauty of it for me. Music, my response there, same thing, being in a musical family and being out of a church experience. My experience growing up had to be the experience of seeking to understand the power, the presence of the Spirit. And what is the Spirit, and what do we mean as Pentecostals when we say the Spirit, when we say the Holy Spirit? We talk about and beyond. And what do we mean if we say that now, even if we're not in the tradition of the West, but go into Africanity or pre-European and pre-modern? What does it mean to be spirit? What does spirit mean? And so you described it, music as the language of God. And I'm always fascinated to watch what happens, this process of transformation as artists do their work. When the artist is playing his guitar or she is singing, uh, I'm watching as a participant in the process, looking for the moment of transformation. And if we are lucky and if everything aligns, uh, you can witness the uh, entrance of an energy, the spirit, in a way that makes the moment bigger than it was, more than it ever could have been, but what it really, really is. So that's what I love about the music. Does that make sense to you, Dr. B? I'll hand it back to you.
Thank you. And it does make a lot of sense. And I think you just articulated it beautifully. There's something that's very divine about sound, intentional sound, and letting out one's feelings through sound. Voice in various ways is musical. I think about the Tower of Babel when everybody was speaking those different languages, and the melody, the melodic nature of voice. And when we pair it with instruments that are created because we're trying to give variation to our ways of giving and sharing voice, that I do understand. I see music as very spiritual. And I think that and that's why I said when we really listen, we can come to that place you just described of connecting with the musician. And that connection, it may even be someone singing a language like Yoruba, my husband's language, and your culture. I mean, your background, heritage, your ancestry heritage, Yoruba. Hearing words in Yoruba language are melodic to me. And as people are talking across the room, the rhythm of it, it's very inviting. You can tell when someone is talking about something wonderful or talking about something bad. You can tell not just by the look, but by the inflection and the sound of their voices. And so I think that our stories, our history, our sharing of spirit with our voice is very critical to our wellness. And so earlier you were saying, like, what role does that play, and how does that capturing of one's spirit? I think you're most well when you see that you're connected to the divine and to each other and to the earth around us. That when we are truly well, we know we are a part that is unique to us, and there's only one us in the universe. Just think about it. You may see people who even look like you, but they don't have your shared experience, and they're not you. And that's what makes, I think, the world so glorious, and music and living and voice and conversations so special and precious, because once it's said in the manner it's said, it can't be said again. And it goes out and it comes back with more power than it had before it left us.
So Yasmin is asking if we're ready for trivia questions. So yes, we're ready, Yasmin. And this one is for me. So what's the trivia question? So what was the name of the unique saxophone technique that John Coltrane popularized, characterized by playing a rapid succession of notes in a fluid, continuous manner? Well, it's D. What he became known for was sheets of sound. And I listen to Coltrane every day, even now. And when I'm in the car, if I'm not on the phone, I'm listening to John Coltrane. And the song I'm listening to right now for the past, say, 5 months every day is My Favorite Things. Uh, and there's another cut. It's a live recording of that song, and another one called One Up and One Down. And in My Favorite Things, what he does is play uh, in a way that if you have to describe it, like looking at sheets of rain. If you've been watching a rainstorm and the wind pushing the rain, and so his music is like sheets of rain falling out of the sky onto the earth, but no end to it. And every drop of rain as you just said, unique, and his ability to both touch every job with giving life to its sound and its presence and project that, and for you to be able to see it and feel it. So if you heard Coltrane play, you would see what he was talking about. You would feel it. You'd see it in your inner eye, in your mind's eye, and you would know it. You might not be able to articulate it. You might not be able to play it, but you would feel it, and you'd know what you were feeling. And the feeling you got was a feeling of ascendancy, a feeling of transformation.
Mm-hmm.
Classic is the album A Love Supreme, I think done in 1963. And that song, that album had 4 movements, 4 songs altogether, lasted about an hour altogether. But side A and side B, part 1 and part 2, first one is Acknowledgement. Second song is Resolution. Third song is Pursuit. And the fourth one is Psalm. So just think about that as a description of the entire process for regeneration. This was about the nature of the regenerative nature of life itself. And in the process, the human being, even the non-living, go through a system that requires or reflects acknowledgement of its existence. Number one, it is. And then the search for conscious people, sentient beings, I think, is a search for a resolution to resolve that. Now that I know that I am, I resolve that I will.
Mm-hmm.
And you make the resolve, the resolution, then you go after it, go get it. Pursuit, right? And the pursuit has one objective. That objective is the attainment, right, of the transformation. And as you and when you have reached that moment of attainment, the only thing you do is psalm, praise the Creator for all of the beauty, the magnificence of this entire life, this experience. And it happens all the time, everywhere, for everybody and everything. That's the power of the music. And that's my Coltrane understanding. Dr. B, I'm going to hand it to you for your trivia question.
Okay, let's see what it is. Okay. In the show Good Times, the Evans family lived in a public housing project. What was the name of this housing project, and which was also the name of a real-life public housing development in Chicago? Well, since I grew up in Florida, Texas, I don't know nothing about Chicago, but I do believe, I'm thinking it was it the something Homes? I thought it was it Henry Horner Homes? That don't sound right. What was it? I don't know.
I'm betting it's Robert Taylor Homes.
Robert Taylor Homes.
That's what
that's
I think.
The one that looks like it. Yeah.
But it could be Cabrini Green too. Well, she said.
I don't know what it was because
she said yes. That's the answer.
Okay, there we go then.
Robert Taylor Homes.
Yeah, there we go. So one of the things that I loved about that show, and the reason it was fun to me, was I know that everybody loved JJ, and everybody loved the mom and the dad and the little brother and the little sister who is played by Janet Jackson. But the person I really liked on the show was the janitor. I forgot I think it was Mr. Melvin or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
He was
Mr.
always
Brown, maybe.
Mr. Brown. He was always so funny, making coming to fix things and never fix it right. It was just remind me of how, you can still be loved and messed up.
Mm-hmm.
At the same time. So we would just look at him and the kids and their many antics. So that's what I liked about the Good Times, and that was a lot of fun. I would laugh a lot because it reminded me of my own family, how we would get in the house and just act a fool and have fun. So that was it.
I'll take the talking stick back. Yasmin's next question, I think they're both the same. What makes you smile, and where do you find joy? So, before I answer that, our friend Michelle Madison, thanks Michelle, says there are so many artists that she loves, both past and present, like Isley's and Marvin Gaye, Earth, Wind and Fire, Anita Baker, Little Kim, DMC Kim. She can go on all day. Thank you. And I think that's true of all of us. There's so much creativity, so much genius in our culture. It's everywhere. I think I told you, maybe I didn't say this already, maybe I did, that yesterday was my daughter Celine's birthday. And when we called her on the phone, I sang happy birthday to her, and I did my best Stevie Wonder version of happy birthday with going all up and down the scale, right, and stretching it out. So I had fun. She probably laughed and said, boy, what you've been drinking, Dad, but the music is a wonderful thing. I don't know why I said that, but here we go. What makes you smile? Well, what makes me smile, that's why I said it, is what makes me smile most is my wife, Bobby McFarlane, and the thought of being with her. And where do I find joy? I find joy in her. And my goal is to not get fired, to be with her for as long as she'll let me be in her life. And then, and what makes me smile is when she says, hey, you did okay. That was all right. That's kind of what I'm living for at the moment. And what else makes me smile? I think nothing compares to that. Dr. B, I'm going to hand it back to you.
I'm having some technical difficulties. I don't know if you can hear me.
Hear you perfectly. Hear you fine.
Okay, that's wonderful. Then the thing that makes me smile is when I see kids playing and when I get a chance to play with them. So part of the reason I like being a child therapist is because I get to play and get paid for it. So I like one of the things that makes me smile is that they find joy and play in the simplest of things. They find happiness in the simplest of things. And it gives me joy when I see children who are well cared for and parents who are taking care of their babies in a loving manner. It gives me joy. And so whenever I see, even every time I go around, I keep a little extra cash on me. And when I see a mom or dad or some kids, I might roll up to them and say, here's some extra money. Go get some ice cream on me. I don't even know them, but that random act of encouragement, of healing and of family and of acknowledging our commonality and our connection to each other. I recently was driving through North Minneapolis to my office at Urban League, and we were going over there, I don't know, to pick up mail or something. I don't know what I was doing at that moment, but I remember a little African-American young man. He had to be about almost 6 feet tall, running out of his house with his cap and gown on. And I saw him and I turned and came all the way back around. And I just happened to have $100 cash in my purse that day. And I gave it to him. I said, hey, baby, because you can't call kids, how you want, that little boy, you want some candy. You can't do that. But I said, hey, baby, I see you graduating. He was surrounded by his mom and dad. And I said, this is for me and the community that's waiting for you on the other side. And wow. it felt so good to do it. He said, what? They didn't know me from Adam. But I know in my spirit, that young man is going to do something with his life. So that's what gives me joy. Just my people give me joy. They give me joy. And of course, my husband. I can't go around and have you talk about beautiful Bobby if I don't talk about my wonderful husband, Akinsanya, and his multiple antics that no one ever sees because he's so serious in public, but he is really, really a lot of fun. So he keeps me laughing every single day. Yeah.
And Bobby does too. For me, that's amazing. Well, and I don't dare, you said amazing antics. I don't dare talk about the amazing antics because that's what keeps me smiling. Okay. So listen, Yasmin asked, so what do you consider playing as an adult? And how does that look different from when you were a child? Well, I don't know if I have an answer for that. Well, let me try first. Do I play as an adult? I think I do. I play with my grandson, my kids. How do I play? Is usually talking or telling jokes, telling stories, remembering stuff and trying to put things in a context where you have to have a belly laugh about it. That's playing. Just the talking and being with your family and friends is play for me. And also things like, when Bobby and I walk, I call that our play. Where for a number of years we take a walk down by the Mississippi River, and what happens is that if you're there every day for 8 or 9 years in a row, you become an institution and a figure that people you don't know, but they expect to see you. And when they see you, they know you, and you know them as well. People that you never have spoken to, except for you raised an eyebrow or you smiled, and you become community. So that feeling of community makes me smile as well. But doing that and being there with Bobby makes all the difference in the world. I think that my long-term idea for playing is, how do we take the attitude of play, which is energetic, in living and being with each other all the time as adults, so that we know that there's safe ways to play, probably ways that are not safe to play, that we use and develop, common sense tools and language and approaches, and that we invest curiosity in all that we do for ourselves and with each other, with an intent of always getting better, being better, not in a way that's competitive, but in a way that reflects growth for you, the individual. And if you grow, those around you are growing as well. So that's kind of what I think. I think Yasmin, you can answer that too, Dr. B, but she has another trivia question for you, I think. I'll pass the talking stick back to you.
Okay, so I want to piggyback on the one about how grown-ups play. Mm-hmm. And I don't know about you, but I still do silly things, like I put 2 grapes in my mouth and I'll chase my husband to kiss him and I look really ugly. I do things like that, but I also play with my sisters and my brothers by telling stories. And during my birthday, we did it, of course, on Zoom last time. And I had a section of the birthday party called Stories, Myth, and Lies. So everybody could tell the stories, myths, and lies that we've experienced when we were little. And it was just a lot of fun, because those stories, if you have a large family like you and I did, somebody's going to remember something a different way. And you say, oh, no, you're lying. That didn't happen. And it's just a lot of fun. And that's where big words come out, like PhD in liology instead of psychology. It's just a lot of fun. That's a lot of fun. That's how I like to play, just hanging out. So, Yasmin, is there another one for us, or are we good? This has been fun. All right. Yep. Oh, Aretha Franklin made history in 1987 when she became the first woman to achieve what significant milestone in the music industry? I know 2 things. One was, I think she got the Academy Award, the Grammy Awards, 10 of them. And I do think there was also something about, was she the one put in the Hall of Fame, or was it somebody? She might have been the one getting the Hall of Fame too, but I know she got several Grammy Awards, and she probably did sell millions of records, but I remember she got a lot of Grammy Awards. I can't say it was 10, but I remember it was a lot. So what's the answer? Being inducted in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Okay, there we go. That was her, because the sister was bad. That's all I had to say. So you know what? I know Sade's name, but I can't call it off right now. But I know she's from Nigeria and she was raised in England. Yep, I do. Yep. Helen, that's her name. Helen, wait a minute. Sade, nope. She was born in Nigeria. And I don't know if the Fasa Fola Sade, I do was her name, but I think it was. I'd say A.
Okay, give me a minute.
Because I think that's on her records, Helen. I've seen that before. It was C. There we go. Oh, what? That's not true.
No.
She wasn't born. Somebody got that wrong. She was not born in the United Kingdom. She was born in Nigeria, honey. Okay, A. Okay, there we go. Okay, there we go. Okay, thank you. Lone Ranger's National, what? Loyal Native Companion.
This is a question for
Tonto.
me. Yeah, right. That was my question.
Oh, that was for you? That was
Yeah,
Tonto.
yeah.
So maybe I could, if
But
I
let me
don't know
talk
mine
about that.
next time, I'll phone a friend.
It's, who is the Lone Ranger's loyal Native American companion who helps him in his quest? Put it back up, please. Put the question back up. In his quest for fighting injustice, right? And so here's the joke inside the joke. The white guy calls the Indian Tonto, which means dumb or stupid, right? That's what the word means. And then we all know the Tonto, played by Jay Silverhills, that was his name, called the Lone Ranger Kimosabe. Kimosabe really is technically Kian no Sabe, he who knows nothing, stupid. So the Indian was right back at you. The native brother was right back at you, white man, stupid, he who knows nothing. So what else?
It was fun.
What else? Yeah, it's fun. What else we got? Michelle is leaving comments in the comment section. So she says, now I have to get 2 presents, one for my grandson who turned 5 and his bestie who turned 5 a day later, whom I really adopted. He said, it takes a village. That's
Yes,
so
it
true.
does.
So true.
Yes, it does. And she is still family. That's for sure.
She says she's traveling south this weekend to celebrate her grandson and his best friend who adopted her, their birthday.
Oh.
So okay, let's see. Here's the question. Which musical instrument, what's that noise coming in the background? Is that which musical instrument is often considered the most iconic and central to the sound of jazz music? Well, I don't know for sure. I mean, I think all of them are: guitar, piano, saxophone, trumpet, but I think saxophone probably. Thinking of Lester Young and all those cats who Sidney Bechet and others who played saxophone are variations on it. So the answer is, Michelle says C. Let's see, what is the answer? Yeah, Yasmin says C. Yeah,
I think it is C. Yep.
Yep. Okay.
You can't have jazz, but eventually you got to have a saxophone somewhere.
There you go. And what else? I was telling Yasmin before the show or last week about stories that I want to talk about from time to time, and one that I mentioned was when I was in Russia, in Moscow. I was at a conference for American Center for International Leadership. It was a 10-day trip. We spent it in Moscow and in St. Petersburg. And we had everybody that was in the groups, like 15, 20 people, out of which 5 of us were Black, out of Atlanta and Baltimore. Organization that sponsored it was out of Baltimore. It was a good trip, my first time being in Russia. And each person kind of had a guide assigned to them to help them navigate around and answer questions in free time. So a young kid named, I'll think of his name in a second, was my guy, just a nice young guy, a college student, just finishing pre-college or something and wanting to come to the U.S., gotten admitted, and he was taking the chance to meet a friend that could help him when he got here, right? But one day we were between meetings, we were standing in Red Square, and it was hot. He said, you want some ice cream? And looked around, and there was an ice cream store on one of the side streets of the Red Square in the Kremlin, right? And I said, yeah, that would be cool, but look at that line over there. Because it was set up where it's like imagine a mall or something, or a street with storefronts on it, and it had 2 doors, and a long line as you're facing it, a long line out of the door on the left, people waiting to go in, and there must be a counter inside. They get their ice cream and come out the door on the right, right? So I'm looking, I said, man, we'll never get the ice cream before it's time for the next meeting. So he said, line, what line? He said, what? So he walks down in the middle and said, that's not a line, that's a crowd. And he walks to the front, gets the ice cream, and out the other door. So what's the lesson in that? The lesson is a lesson about perception and the lesson about definition. And if you perceive something to be a line, you'll go find your way to the end of it and await your turn. But you could be looking at the same thing and say, that's not a lion, that's just a crowd, right? And you act differently. So the lesson for me of that little story has been just check how you look at stuff and don't accept the standard perception. Sometimes it's okay, sometimes it's not, and sometimes there are other ways of looking at things in the world. So back to music and the same idea, the Afro-Cuban All-Stars, their album called Reconciliation. And one of the songs, there's the singer, Juan de Marcos, sort of as an aside, says, mira como mira de aquí. And that phrase just stands out, so it jumps out of nowhere. But they're jamming, and the phrase says, let's look at how it looks from over here. Let's see how it looks from over here, right? And so what's the lesson? How it looks. Take the time to examine something from several points of view. Look at how it looks from over here, because it might be different from the way it is. My last story like that, I had a guy that was doing jewelry business, street business way back when, and he made these pendants out of shells, cut them, polished them, etc. And you hold the shell up and say, what is this? And you say it's a shell with a whatever, and it is that, but it's also a vacant space with something around it. So definition is the key. You can look at something that's back to, is it half full or half empty, right? How you look at it determines how you react and what you do, what your next move is. I encourage us to examine everything, question everything, and then question it again, and question it with the intent of how do we improve and how do we do better and get the most out of ourselves as we move forward. Dr. B, I'm going to hand it back to you.
I like what you just said, because it really talks about perception, and perspective. And in psychology, we often call those processes cognitive processes. They can be ones that help us heal because we see positive, or they can be ones that help us create harm in ourselves because we are not evaluating it from a positive perspective. It can be the same thing. So I love that story you told. And I think that has a lot to do with how we as Black people look at our world. And part of our mark of survival is what Dr. Joe White, known as the father of psychology, used to call gallows humor. He said Black folks have gallows humor. And even in the spite of negative things, we find something to laugh about. And it does remind me of some of the work I've done. And I remember a little girl had gone to a party, and somebody fooled around, came up there with a gun, and she got shot in the butt running. And luckily, she survived it, that it didn't get her back or anything like that. And it was really a tragedy. And so I went up to HCMC to see her and her family, and, to provide some psychological support, because I know she'd been having bad dreams. And when we were talking about what happened, and I said, well, maybe there's something we can gain from, having this tragedy and this terrible thing. And then the girl looked at her dad, the dad looked at her, the mom looked at the dad looked at the mom, looked at her. And almost in unison, they said, yeah, we learned you better run faster.
That's gallows humor. Yeah.
Learn the radio. We learn you better run faster.
Run
So
faster. Yeah.
our people find ways to be healed. And I think today, as we talk about joyful, light things, we also have to remember that, our president that used to be our president just got arrested. I mean, indicted, got to get fingerprinted. They finally caught up with a thug, and he was a White House G. That's what some of my kids call him, the White House G. And so he was getting away with everything. And so now, among the people I've been talking to since yesterday, in counseling and in the community, there's a sense of belief and faith that there will be comeuppance, that people who do wrong, who will reap what they sow.
Mhm.
And for us as Black folks, ideas of equality and equity and fairness in the universe, they're very, very important to us. And so instead of us, I know the country, a lot of people in the country are sad about it, but woo, we have a whole bunch of folks that I know who are just saying, he finally got it. The world isn't as bad as I thought it was. And that's what I'm thinking. What is your opinion about that, Brother Al?
Well, I think you are right. I think everybody's waiting to see if the system's going to work and whether he's going to, as he plans to, escape judgment and escape the consequence of his actions. And he believes and he's declared that he can do anything he wants to with no consequence, shoot somebody, kill somebody in the middle of Fifth Avenue or something, and it would be okay because he was who he was. And so I think the society is looking to test that. So far, he has done what he said, and he's not had to suffer any consequences. And what we do know is his attitude is that he can beat anything and everything, and that no matter how hard they press against him, he sees himself victorious. And he actually sees his intent is to leverage the public, the so-called silent majority, the true believers, the white right? The what you call those guys? Those the nationalist group that did January 6th. So he's thinking to mobilize that into an army that will threaten the existence of the country. So what's happening now, Dr. B, is there is serious discussion in white media about a civil war. And people that are writers and organizers and planners are saying that, there's always been this subterranean rumble about, the people who were the mountain people in the Dakotas and Wyoming that were preparing for the showdown. But now that is more widespread, more expansive, and people are now feeling that day is soon to come, and that has to be frightening. So I think we're at a crisis moment, a good moment nonetheless, where the society has to say where it is. Either we're going to be a humane and democratic society that supports life and liberty, or we're going to continue to let the few who want to have power to control other human beings, to control women, to control Black people, to control and extract the wealth from the land, and to despoil the entire environment. If they win, and Trump not being held accountable is a win for them, and them winning elevates Trump into the oligarch that he wants to be. He'd love to be the Shah, or love to be a king. And his whole move was trying to figure out how he could align himself with people like that around the world, so that as a group, they represented the divine right to rule the masses of us. And I object to that. So I think we're heading to in the right direction. And I'm hoping that everything that's supposed to happen does happen. Well, I believe it will. It's inevitable. What do you think?
I think I'm just going to tell you, like, one of my young people that I see for therapy told me last week. He said, and haven't heard him his response about Trump at this point, but he told me last week. He says Dr. B, we went through COVID, and that influenced a whole lot of us because we are connecting type people, and we don't want to separate from each other. We're connected to each other, and because we're connected, we had a lot of COVID. And he said, and now we're dealing with long COVID, like we're going to have a long COVID support group, thanks to MDH. But he said, I think that Trump was like COVID. And long COVID is like when you think it's gone, but it still persists. He said he's long COVID. He's the societal version of long COVID.
Yep.
Said, Lord have mercy.
So
to me, that pretty much summed it up. That is something you can't shake. It's something you keep struggling with. The aftermath of the existence of the presence of the first it's a lot that he's bringing. But one thing I do know about our people, we're resilient.
There we go.
And long COVID or long Trump won't put us out.
That's right.
That's right. And one of my last thing I want to say about Aretha Franklin is one of my favorite songs she had is, I think was called she don't want, let's see, I'm not gonna let somebody take away my faith.
Here we go.
And they're not gonna take it. So, and she talked about, whether or not, no matter what people do in this world, that she's gonna hold on to her faith, and her faith that things will be good and hopeful and healthful, and that the good people of the earth will win. So that's my little take on that sentence.
Here we go. Well, I'm going to end the program with another recommendation out of John Coltrane. And that recommendation is a song called Dear Lord. And just go to YouTube, find it, listen to it. And it is such a wonderful and healing song that you will enjoy it. I guarantee you. It'll brighten your day and just put you in your best mood to face whatever it is you're facing better, stronger, clearer, and with more confidence. Well, with that, I think we're out of time, Dr. B. This is such a wonderful conversation. A good chance to, being with you. That's what we call this healing circle. Being with you is healing. I was thinking about that.
And you as well. Before
the show, I said, you know what? Just being with Dr. B and Dr. Oliver, that's a healing experience for me every week. And I so thank you and so enjoy. And I'm so grateful to you. So thank you so much.
Thank you, brother. And thank you to everybody who's joining us today on the Healing Circle. I hope they will subscribe like you've been telling everybody.
Inside News at YouTube.
Here we go.
All right.
There you go.
Take care.